J-Hiv, Stretford, Paddock, that's Joe Smith, and this is a special look at Casemiro's masterclass at Goodison Park. The Brazilian was player of the match as Manchester United defeated Everton 2-1. Now, going into this game, it wasn't all plain sailing. There was a little bit of a worry about him. You know, should he be in the team? Should Scott McTominay be in the team? But boy, were the doubters wrong. He had an absolutely fantastic game, and you're going to run through several examples of why he was so effective at Goodison Park. We'll start off from the beginning. Why not? Makes sense. Bit of an issue for the Everton goal, shall we say, where he could have done a bit better. And me and you were on the watch along. I was beginning to think, oh, is this going to be one of those days? Just talk us through that Everton goal and his part in it.
So obviously Anthony's got the ball here. You can see him, you know, like I said, on the ball, and he's got a number of passes. Obviously, you see Dallo on the touchline there, who is, if nothing else, he can see the pitch in front of him. Casemiro has got 3 Everton players around him. Obviously, you would expect him to be able to deal with the ball slightly better than he does. However, Anthony passing it in there in the first place isn't really the best of ideas. Do you know what I mean? He can't really see what's going on. He's got 2 players coming over his shoulder, left shoulder and right shoulder. Obviously, we go on from there. He loses the ball, he gets tackled, and then they take it up and stick the ball in the back of the net, which obviously no one wants. And at that point, we were sat watching the game thinking, he hasn't started for Manchester United yet. This isn't the start he wanted. Obviously, giving the ball away, again, you can blame Anthony a little bit, you can blame whoever. You've got to be faster on the ball there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you're Casemiro, have a quiet word with him afterwards saying, you dropped me in it there, mate. But really, if you're on the ball, if the ball's been given to the midfield, you should know what's going on behind you. Even if you have to boot it out for a throw-in, and afterwards bollock Anthony saying, why did you give me that pass? You can't give the ball away and let it lead to a goal, because that's just, you know, obviously the one thing you can't do, really, isn't it? Let's be honest.
No, like you're saying there, there's lots of other options. There's 100 different options he could have done that would have been better than losing the ball. But, you know, as you said, they got that goal. It did get better for him.
Yeah.
It did get a lot better. So, obviously, United go down 1-0, up against it. But you want to talk about his pressing, because this is something that Casemiro obviously brings to the team. Just talk us through this next clip.
Well, you can see here, look, that United's pressing is actually really good. So you've got Rashford on the play there. You've got Bruno in the space, Eriksen closing that gap down. Yeah. I think it's Anthony on that side as well, closing down Conor Cody, and Ronaldo doing his best to sort of block that potential pass back to the goalkeeper there, cutting that off, which means that basically the ball has to go long.
Yeah.
Conor Cody has to play the ball long, and we were saying during the watch along, one of the big things with pressing is it's not necessarily about these forwards winning the ball back. It's about limiting the potential that the defending team has to play the ball out. Because what he wants to do here, he wants to find a short pass if he can. He wants to go back to the goalkeeper. He wants an easy pass. But instead, the way we've set up here, the way we've pressed him, means that the only option he has is to play it long. And that's where Casemiro comes in, 1v1 versus Iwobi, winning one of his 4 aerial clearances that he won in the game yesterday, which is the most of anyone on the pitch. Wins that ball away from Iwobi and plays the ball down to Marcus Rashford as well, I believe it was, there. And now we can attack, because now we've got Marcus Rashford there, you've got Bruno Fernandes as well, and you've got Cristiano Ronaldo. And that could have led to a goal. That's exactly what pressing's all about. Limiting the chances that Everton players have or the opposition has, and creating chances for yourself with quick turnovers. You see there, if that ball was to go in the back of the net, you're looking at maybe the pass from Casemiro, one to Bruno, maybe a through ball to Ronaldo, 3 passes later, you're 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but that shows you exactly what the sort of pressing that Ten Hag wants to see, and why Casemiro will be so crucial to that. Because the thing is, Scott McTominay, yes, he can win a header occasionally, but he can't win it with the same regularity, and then the same sort of... It seems a bit unfair to say McTominay couldn't head a ball down to Rashford, because obviously he could.
Yeah.
But Casemiro was doing it time and time again. I think it was 58 passes he had yesterday. And his ability to pick the right pass, even in difficult situations. He's winning an aerial duel there against Iwobi, who is difficult to beat. And still he has that composure and the talent to play a calm, composed header to Marcus Rashford there. And again, nothing came of it. But these are the sort of chances that if in a game 3 or 4 times Casemiro can make this sort of thing happen, eventually that leads to a goal, and all of a sudden you've got a team that's now scoring 5-10 more goals a season because of the work of Casemiro there. So excellent stuff there, and obviously that sort of led on as well later on in the first half, more pressing from him. We saw the ball that, again, this led to the disallowed goal from Bruno Fernandes. You see, I think it's Conor Cody again on the ball there. Casemiro sort of weighing up his options, decides to go in, close the ball down, and wins the tackle back on the edge of the box. The ball spills to Bruno Fernandes or Rashford, I think, and then the ball gets played back inside to Cristiano Ronaldo, who was offside. But again, it's not just sitting on the edge of his own box. I'm a CDM, I defend deep, I play in front of my defence. Here he's playing, 20 yards out from Everton's goal, winning the ball back high, doing what he's good at in the opposition half as well. And I think that's so crucial. He knows his role and he knows his skill set so well that he can be a very front foot defensive midfielder, not just someone that sort of shepherds and shields the defensive line like, maybe that's all people expect from him. He's got a lot more in his locker than just that.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw the effect that had on the Everton players, didn't we? They kept giving the ball away. You could see there was a nervousness within that Everton defence, amongst the likes of, as you mentioned there, Connor Cody and one or two others as well, and Tarkowski. You could see that this was getting to them and they weren't being given that sort of space or that room to breathe. And, you were sort of forcing errors because you're playing so high up the pitch, and Casemiro did that better than anyone. It wasn't just in terms of pressing and getting on the ball, though. He was also involved in some chances, wasn't he? He had a good chance with a header where he links up well with Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe it's this, that's the one before that. So he gets the ball, plays it out wide to Rashford in the first place, and you can see here in the bottom of the screen, Casemiro, just turning up the tempo in terms of that sprint into goal. He sort of drifts in, runs along this sort of line here into the position that you see him there, entering the box, something that I didn't really expect him to do. Seemingly the Everton defenders didn't expect him to do it either because no one tracked him. You see him here heading wide, basically unmarked between the two Everton centre-backs. And I think they're expecting our attackers to be there. Yeah. They're not expecting Casemiro to be there. And obviously it's a great chip cross from Marcus Rashford, ball in, and obviously that's got to go in the bottom corner there. There's no real excuses from Casemiro. That's got to be going in the back of the net. Unfortunately, it went wide, but again, he's adding value to the midfield. He's adding value to Manchester United's performances because not just now do they have to worry about Casemiro, the defender, they have to worry about Casemiro, the attacker. And the pass out to Marcus Rashford in the first place was an excellent one, a crisp one, a confident one, and one that, again, I hate to sort of drag other players through the mud for the sake of praising Casemiro, but it's the sort of pass that I don't think our other defensive midfielders can make consistently enough for you to feel comfortable when they do. Do you know what I mean? Like Fred, yes, he can make that pass. McTominay can make that pass. But it's not such a high percentage pass as it is when Casemiro does it. So all of a sudden you think, give it a go, because it's probably going to come off. So, it's just a massive difference.
Also, he had a big part in United's second goal. We were watching it again, it was pretty funny because it's like he almost lost the ball, then he wins it back, and then he plays an absolutely sublime pass for Cristiano Ronaldo's 700th goal, 700 club goal, I should say. Just talk us through that.
So this right here is a man in the midst of what could have been a catastrophic mistake. I don't know what he's doing. He sort of flicks the ball with the outside of his foot first time. But as you can see here, look, there is no Manchester United players anywhere in the vicinity of where that ball was ever going to go. I don't know what went through his head. I don't know who he thought he was passing to, but it certainly wasn't a Manchester United player. But that's the crucial thing. Yes, he's got some weaknesses. Yes, it was this almost up and down performance from Casemiro. So he's giving the ball away there, and what does he do? He thinks, what am I good at? Winning it back. So he decides, I'll just win it back instead, tackles the ball back off the Everton player, and then plays an absolute perler of a pass up through the lines to Cristiano Ronaldo here, basically putting him through on goal, and then obviously we know what happens there. Ronaldo sticking the ball near post, past the goalkeeper, 2-1 Manchester United. And that sort of summed up his day really in a single moment, or even summed up his United career so far where, yes, he's given the ball away, which is a small mistake, but not only has he made up for it, he's then gone on and done something absolutely brilliant to turn the whole situation into a good one. I think that's the thing with Casemiro. He still seems to be learning the league, doesn't it? It's not like perfect every minute.
No, it isn't. What impressed me about that is, when he wins the ball back, it's the weight of pass.
Yeah.
It's not just it's a great ball, it's sort of inch perfect. And there's no wonder a player of the calibre of Cristiano Ronaldo, who has been struggling, was able to finish with that because, Ronaldo, don't get me wrong, it's a good finish, but it's also such a good pass as well that it's begging to be put away, and that was obviously 2-1. It's not just winning the ball, pressing, getting his head on things. There's an experience and a leadership quality that comes with Casemiro as well. Something I noticed actually when, I think it was the Arsenal game at Old Trafford, he was on the touchline when players were there. He was almost like another coach at times, giving him a little chat. Something you picked up on from Goodison Park as well.
Yeah, and I think, again, some of what we saw yesterday was his weaknesses. We did see some weaknesses. Receiving the ball in tight areas. He's not the best passer quickly. He has to get the ball out of his feet. He's a very good striker of the ball. He can pass it well, but passing under pressure is something he struggles with. And I think you sort of saw both his acceptance of his own weaknesses and also one of his strengths here. So sort of looks like a somewhat inconspicuous scene here, Victor Lindelof on the ball. But I think what we see is pretty important in that, it's not Casemiro that's come short there, it's Christian Eriksen. And that means that Casemiro is now a lot further away from the ball, meaning that, let's say he does receive that ball with his back to goal, as we've said, he's not so good at doing. Now you're 35 yards from your own goal, rather than 20 yards from your own goal. And that's something, and I hate doing this again, but Fred, for instance, he sort of doesn't seem to accept that he's not very good at receiving the ball off defenders. And he will drop deep and try and be that person that links up the ball between the defence and midfield. And how many times have we seen him give the ball away in big games? I think against Everton in the FA Cup one time he did it. We've seen it against Wolves, we've seen it in other games as well where, all of a sudden they're just one-on-one with our goalkeeper because the wrong person is dropping deep. Casemiro seems to realise, actually, Eriksen's better at that than me. I'm going to let him drop deep. I will be available for the ball here if he needs me. But also, the crucial thing he's doing is he's pointing out wide to Luke Shaw on the left, which means that not only is he saying, Eriksen, you drop deep, you get this ball, I'll sit forward a little bit because I'm not so good at doing that. Now what has he got? He's got a vantage point of the situation that neither Lindelof or Eriksen have. They can't see what he can see. And he's saying, Luke Shaw is free on that side, give him the ball. And obviously that's what Victor Lindelof does, sprays it out left to Luke Shaw and it alleviates pressure as well as, admitting his own weaknesses.
Yeah, I understand what you mean about Fred. I like Fred, but he does have a tendency, doesn't he? He drops deep, he wants the ball. You mentioned the Wolves game in the FA Cup, I think it was. We saw it in Leicester again in the FA Cup, coming to get the ball, getting himself in a bit of a pickle, and it's led to, us conceding. Here, just showing that bit of maturity, that bit of experience. Look, there's options there for you, use them. I mean, it sounds simple, but it matters, and it makes a difference.
And over a game, I think, especially in that first half, that was United's most competent performance, I think, in terms of actually controlling the game. I think it was 70% possession in the first half. Everton had one shot, and it was that 25-yard sort of, not pop shot because it went in, but very low percentage chance from Iwobi. A lot of that is down to Casemiro, not just him, obviously. Eriksen and Martinez had a fantastic game, and if it wasn't his debut, maybe we'd go over how good Martinez was in that last game. If it wasn't Casemiro's debut, we'd probably be looking at Martinez because he was brilliant as well. But I think Casemiro's role in that game is so much better and so much more competent than anyone we've had in that area in basically since Michael Carrick retired, that I thought we've got to go back and sort of point out some of the things that, obviously the goals, everyone saw that, but maybe some of these things went slightly under the radar. And I just thought it was again, not a perfect performance, there were mistakes in that, but such a high-quality performance with so many high-quality moments that we had to go back and look and sort of dig some of it out because I thought it was absolutely brilliant.
So you're talking about limiting them.
Yeah.
In terms of big chances, how many big chances did Everton actually create? 'Cause I can't think of any.
No, Everton created 0 big chances,
right.
What is deemed a big chance. So this, I think, was United's best sort of shutting out performance. I know the last 10 minutes was shaky, but I think a lot of that came from the sort of reaction to Rashford's goal being disallowed and it almost feeling maybe like, almost Everton had scored really, the way that goal was chalked off. So I think that played a part at the end. Obviously, United can get better at closing games out without conceding corner after corner after corner like we saw at the end of the game. But in terms of actually, Everton crafting and making chances through our players, it just didn't happen. And I think a lot of that is down to Casemiro.
It was refreshing to see a player like Casemiro in Manchester United because you've always had this sort of feeling that it's square pegs in round holes with likes of Fred and McTominay. They're not necessarily that out-and-out DM. They can play there and they can do a good job there as well. I'm a big fan of both of them. But you've got someone who not only is a DM, but also can play the kind of system and the kind of football that Erik ten Hag is desperate to play.
Yeah, exactly. And it allows, like we said there, it allows Eriksen the freedom to pick the ball up off the defence. Another player that Ten Hag has brought in who is more capable of getting the ball with his back to the opposition and turning and still keeping possession. And again, like you said, he can coach players, he can coach systems. Ten Hag knows how to get Casemiro in this team, and the fact that he's now bringing him in, I think shows that obviously Casemiro understands what he wants him to do.
Interestingly enough as well, Scott McTominay suspended for the Newcastle game, so that's one decision that's been taken out of Erik ten Hag's sort of hands. even if he wasn't, I'd expected Casemiro to start, but he's nailed on to start against Newcastle.
You would assume so after this, and I think Ten Hag spoke after the game about how important he is. He said you can see today how important Casemiro is going to be for this team, so he's not painting the picture of a man that's going to get dropped anytime soon.
Great to see. Do get involved in the chat and the comments. Thanks for that, Joe. I really enjoyed that. We're going to be doing more of these vids where we do a proper tactical analysis of performances. So make sure you let us know in the comments what you think of this one. Don't forget as well to check out Joe on the Sloppy Joe's podcast. And if you're not doing already, make sure you're subscribing to this channel. There's a subscribe link in the description, so click on that. I've been Jay. That's been Joe. This has been a look at Casemiro's masterclass at Goodison Park. Thanks for watching.